I'm excited for this next panel, Advanced Multi-Channel Marketing Strategies for a Cookieless World. Right now, with everything going on with third-party cookies, sort of knowing what we can do with first-party data and to personalize relevant customer experiences is really important. So I'm very happy to introduce Jim Koepke, the Managing Director of Insider, and Ryan Kirkley, the Head of Revenue and Marketing for Anatomie. Please join me in welcoming them.
Hey everybody, how are we doing today? Good, good? All right. Well, first off, thank you for being here. I am enjoying being back in front of humans again after a long hiatus. Hopefully you are as well. I'm welcomed by Ryan, who's a customer of Insider's, and we're going to jump in to our presentation here in a moment, which is talking about advanced multi-channel marketing strategies. Some of these may be advanced for you, some of them may not. It's really hard to create something that is going to touch every audience member, but hopefully you walk away with something that you can go home and activate. If you don't know who Insider is, I've got a couple slides in a moment, but we do have a booth just out to the right. Happy to engage with you thereafter. But first, I want to pass it over to Ryan to introduce you to Anatomie.
Yeah, so Anatomie is a high-end pro-leisure brand focused typically around travel, business wear and women's wear. Average average price point typically runs around $200 to $400. And as a primary offering, we go after people for our pant fit and do this in an omni-channel approach, going through wholesale, e-commerce, VIP stylists, retail, and direct sales. So it's the full prong of it. Some cool things about Anatomie is that we've grown almost 100% over the last year and a half, including through COVID. And so we're rapidly scaling our digital efforts in the e-commerce world with a very small team. And so that's been one of the major challenges, but also one of the fun parts of it is to be able to go through this rapid growth period and trying to create very customizable user content, showcasing the versatility of the brand. We like to kind of use the term, it's permanent fashion meets utilitarian wear, where it's lifetime guarantees, low maintenance, versatile, but still going after the people that would be purchasing from a high-end luxury brand, fashion designer, et cetera. And so kind of a perfect marriage of the two, but very, very unique marketing efforts to go after that kind of audience.
And a quick introduction to Insider. Insider is about a 10-year-old business. However, we are less than a year old in the United States. I've been tapped and asked by the founders in the organization to open up the United States, and we have been on that mission through these pandemic times. Some good learnings, some horror stories. If you want to ask me about those, wait until the evening when I have a beer in front of me. We'll probably each have a little bit more fun. Happy to get into much more of this if you decide to stop by our little booth area, but Insider is not new to the marketing automation or the personalization space. We are actually very highly rated by industry analysts in 3 different categories. Personalization, which is on the right by Gartner, G2 for personalization and CDP, and then most recently by Forrester for their independent cross-channel campaign management platform, where we won the report in our first time participating in it. So we understand these worlds, and we are bringing new ideas creatively, as creative as we can, to the United States. As we all know, times are changing. Not just the pandemic, but what we're able to do from a marketing automation standpoint, the data that we're able to use. We've been on a multi-channel journey, and I'm just going to build this out so you guys can look at it, take a picture. But we've been on a multi-channel and an omni-channel mission for a long time. I've been in the space nearly 20 years, and these are the very similar conversations than what we've been having with brands for years. Now, the tools and the tactics that we take to solve these challenges are changing, and I know that Ryan and his small team are really driving to solving some of these in a unique way. So, Ryan, maybe you can elaborate a little bit from Anatomie's point of view.
Yeah, and so as a smaller organization, there's obviously a lot of efforts you need to be doing, whether it's getting in front on text message, email, ads, social media, influencer, etc. The hard part about it is trying to organize these and make sure you're hitting the right person with the right message at the right time in the right place. I know previously as we were scaling up our marketing team, we would send an email and then same SMS with the same message correlated right away to it. I'm sure a lot of brands have that problem. And someone could have bought from that email, and we're going to go and send them that SMS because there's just no cohesion between the two for us to be able to address this. And so this allows us to be able to get after our users in a smarter way. It allows us to be able to take away the different database silos that exist in the marketing world and truly put ourselves in front of the customer and the best foot forward. The second part of this, though, is it lets us own our data. And it allows us to be able to create custom user experiences across the entire user flow. And so even when we have an anonymous user who's never purchased from us, I can go and start to customize what that home page looks like to them based on other pages they've interacted with, what ad they've sent to, or did they interact from an Instagram page, Instagram post. And it really allows us to start to build out, the day-to-day problems that we're all having.
So how do we do this at Insider? First off, we do have a script that sits on the website. It would be still considered a third-party script, but we are moving towards completely first-party, and we're actually moving away from anything that is passing or collecting any sort of PII or personal identifiable data. We're using more local storage to be able to understand who that consumer is, what they've browsed, what they've looked at, how long they've looked at it, what source or origination they've come from. All of that can then be factored into and brought into a unified customer profile that powers any segmentation, any rule around when to turn something on or when to turn something off, so that you can completely customize that consumer's experience. In addition to the web and the mobile web, we do have a mobile app SDK, very highly rated in its own right, and we can take any sort of third-party or historical data in as a custom attribute. So in many senses, we are a CDP. We don't call ourselves a CDP because we just draw a distinction between pure play CDPs and then CDPs that also have activation layers. And so what you'll hear us refer to ourselves as is a growth management platform because of that activation element connected to it. What we do with that data afterwards is get very finite in how we're targeting and who we're targeting. And I'll just build this out one more step as well, again, so you can look at it and take pictures should you want. So any of these data points can be utilized to either find audience participation or to decide when to engage individuals on where they are within that consumer insight or that consumer journey. Some of the information it can be custom or AI-trained data or even untrained AI that's finding segments of populations of people that you may not even identify yourself internally as a cohort that's actually behaving similarly. Ryan was telling me recently about a study that they were doing on finding everyone who loves camo-printed apparel, and maybe you can share just a quick story on that.
Yeah, so the best example is before Insider to grab this kind of camo apparel, and every single person that purchased it or interacted with it from email to text, we were looking at probably a 3 to 6 hour task for us to be able to aggregate this and be able to create the customer experience, to be able to either serve ads to them for the next camo release or send the right email to just them, et cetera. And so it's really easy with Insider because it starts to automatically build out what we're looking for in these data sets, these solutions, et cetera. The other really cool one to me is location and weather kind of siding. Hey, if I know it's going to be snowing in the Northeast come November time for a 2-week period, that's a great time for me to be able to send targeted jacket messages that are for cold weather, as opposed to in Florida, I'd probably want to be sending a dress message even in November because it's going to be 85 degrees and there's no need for that. And those kind of things get into much higher engagement scores, much higher revenues, and they really keep our unsubscribe rates much, much lower when we're able to get that kind of granular data and utilize it in our day-to-day functioning.
So I want to talk about the rest of this through a couple of different use cases, but also through the backbone of something that we call Architect. Architect is our journey building tool. Now, Insider was born out of Southeast Asia, so we have native capabilities across WhatsApp, Line, WeChat, in addition to Facebook Messenger, SMS, MMS, or any other channel that are more commonly utilized in the United States. But the biggest channel that Insider influences or allows our customer to influence which is most likely not represented in most brands' communication, is the website. It touches 90% of your, or it touches 100% of your digital traffic. Email, 15, 20%, with open rates that fall off thereafter. What you will see through a couple of these examples is within that architect flow, the ability to change an on-site experience for that individual or for that cohort of people. And that to us is the next step. That to us is what we have been trying to do for our consumers for the longest time. If someone has already made a purchase, let's change the ribbon at the top that says free shipping on orders over X to thank you for your purchase and drive ratings and reviews. Or thank you for your purchase, click here to track your shipment. There are ways to continue the consumer experience and the consumer journey after they've taken that ultimate step that we're trying to drive in almost every one of our other communications, which is that purchase. So let's talk about this through an individual. Laura. We were going to know quite a bit about Laura over time, and maybe the green button will work. And some of that data might be what you see here. Any of these data points, any of this information is material information that we would like to utilize and serve or utilize to serve her in a more meaningful way. Now, Anatomie, the most famous product are your pants products, right?
Correct, yeah.
So we have a pants fanatic. They're wrinkle-free, so she loves traveling the world, comfort and fit. Maybe has 2 or 3 different pairs and 2 or 3 different styles. But as we start to engage, we may have an experience that unfolds this way. On a website visit, but not every website visit. The visitor is a new visitor, so we don't know who she is. She's anonymous now, but she's coming from Instagram on a mobile device. So if she's coming from Instagram on a mobile device, she knows who the brand is. What Insider is going to say is, on site, launch a product that we call InStory. InStory injects an Instagram-type experience on the desktop or the mobile website, but you can choose to do it on both or one or the other. And all of those radio buttons that you see at the top are going to appear just like they would in any other sort of mobile experience, and they can be completely curated to her based on what we know. Now, at this point, new visitor, we know very, very little. But we might know where she jumped out of Instagram and what information is being passed in via that source URL. So it could be pants, could be a different product that Anatomie is promoting in Instagram. It could be their men's line. Maybe she's married or has a boyfriend and she's buying something for her significant other. All of that can be factored into these in-story experiences, and all of those buttons are curated. Now, what we have shown is 2 things. The amount of first-party data that you're collecting dramatically increases. Session duration for people who are coming through and seeing this type of experience is up about 50% over the norm, and it decreases that time to first purchase because the product discovery rates are jumping. You're able to showcase more product, keep them in the flow for a longer period of time, and you're able to, through that, understand just a lot more about who she is, what she might be interested in, and what we can showcase to try and get her to get further into that consideration and or purchase funnel. All of this, as I said earlier, is driven through deep segmentation. So last visited category could be men's. The collection could be pants. The source could be Instagram. All of that can change both the button experience, but the full page takeover. Now, within that full page takeover, you can also put fun things like countdown banners or sign up with your email address. Again, because this is a new visitor, to get a coupon. It could be a deep link to the cart page or to the product page to drive faster conversion rates. And it is all, or can be all powered in an automated fashion through AI with I think it's now up to about 17 different algorithms that can custom curate, grab, and create those user experiences. So these can be turned on and turned off as a single campaign type or within one of those architect flows or one of those journey flows. Another example is creating a curated experience for every consumer. And I know, Ryan, this is something that was big during a lot of our conversations. So maybe you can share some of your ideas here.
Yeah, so this is kind of where this gets to the next level of the digital experience for consumers, particularly repeat purchasers, things like that. So at Anatomie, we're really lucky in the sense of that our products are pretty loved by our customers. And so we have a 68% repeat purchase rate. Now, the big challenge, though, is to take that second purchase and turn it into a third purchase, fourth purchase, and start to show to the website that, hey, we understand you are a valued customer. We know what you like to purchase. We know that you're coming back for the fifth, sixth time, that your typical thing you purchase is going to be our darker colored pants and our neutral colored tops, or it's the jackets and the dresses, et cetera. And so this allows us from the very beginning that a customer returns to the site to give them a unique experience. So if I send out an email blast with new arrivals, I can make sure that if they go back to that site, they're going to see the message that is going to be the most likely new arrival for them to interact with and purchase from. And so rather than us just hoping we're getting the right email and text message coming forward to the right person with what they're interested in, we're able to make sure that the website is actually showing these things from the very beginning to them as we get better and better data on their predictive analytics.
Another type experience is the following. So again, on a website visit, we're gonna identify this individual as a returning user. Maybe they're identified and known, maybe they're not. They just might be returning, and we have some set of data on them, but not the ability to communicate with them yet. So we'll walk through this automation. We'll wait a day. We're gonna check to see if they've purchased. We would have that event data through that session information. If they haven't, we're gonna start walking through a channel mix of going least expensive to most expensive. Browser notifications are something that a lot of merchants and a lot of brands aren't using. Browser notifications are almost a completely free channel. I don't like them in a blast sense personally. We have customers who use them that way, more maybe in restaurants and fast food. When on a Friday, a pizza company might send it out to everybody and say order, and they're going to see a spike. In a fashion or an e-com sense, for Anatomie, it makes more sense to do it in a targeted fashion based upon browser cart abandonment or other types of triggers, which we'll show on the next slide. So in this case, you want to walk through your vision here?
Yeah, so this one, what we're looking at is we're having an item that experiences a price drop. And so what it does is it allows us to wait for a little bit after the price drop, see if they naturally reach out to it, and then it checks the reachability. So first we look for a web push. We're able to send them a notification saying, hey, price has dropped on your favorite item that we know you were looking at, and try to get them to engage there. The really cool part about this, though, is that this one is an easy, simple, low-risk reach out. And then secondarily, though, as we go through this, if they don't engage with this, we can then go and try to send an email. We can go and serve them an ad campaign to it, et cetera. If we have limited inventory left and we know they were sitting on it in their cart, I'm able to serve a web push notification, get it before it sells out. Now, in the world of e-commerce and the world of COVID, I think everyone that's dealing with tangible inventory is running out of inventory on a constant basis. This does two things. One is it's allowed us to increase our customer service because we're able to tell people, hey, this is running out. So they can't be upset at us if they got a notification saying we're almost sold out and then they didn't purchase it. The second, though, is we're able to sell through the end of our inventory much more efficiently when we're doing these things because it allows us to get in front of the people that we know we're looking at this exact product.
One more thing that we're always talking about is reactivation of customers that have gone quiet or dark on us. And in this case, this talks back to, Ryan mentioned earlier, a very high repeat purchase rate and NPS and client satisfaction, but individuals churn. And that is a reality that we're always going to face. Through our AI and predictive segmentation, we can identify these behaviors and find those people who have a high likelihood to churn. If that's the case, and we see that there's a high discount affinity, we may decide to take certain actions. First, we can send an email if they're matching, if they're currently opted in. If they're currently opted in, this may be the best channel to convert them. Within the technology, we'll say which channels are they reachable on and which one do they show the highest affinity to engage in. If they are not reachable on email, we might go back to browser push notifications. If we've checked they've purchased, we can only then decide to serve an ad. Protecting that ad budget, protecting that ad spend, and making sure that we are only utilizing those dollars to drive conversion if needed. And I know this is something that you guys talk about a lot.
Yeah, and so my background originally was doing programmatic ad spends on massive scales for politics. We all know in June this changed overnight in the sense that Facebook ad spend and Instagram ad spends honestly tanked. Across the board, the way to get attribution, the way to show what's working, serving these ads are no longer as efficient because you're not getting in front of the right person every time. You're not able to track how many times they've necessarily seen the ad. And so this allows you to really try to make every effort to save your dollar value on the front end before you go after them with this retargeting that's a much lower conversion. It also allows you to be able to explicitly point to where in that transition are they actually converting on and show that ROI and the ROA on that ad spend, which is a huge plus.
So that's it. We're out of time and we're out of slides, so it's good timing for us. Thank you very much for a few minutes of your day. It's great to be here with you. If you want to learn more about Insider, just out that door to the right, Ryan will head out there, and I will head out there here for a few minutes and see if there are any questions that you'd like to follow up on.
Thank you, Jim and Ryan. Much appreciated.